What I find interesting about sort of watching season 3 is we may be in a more impactful time than ever in terms of what queer youth representation means, especially with what's happening in Florida, what's happening with trans rights for kids around the country. I mean, it's a more treacherous time than ever. How cognizant are both of you about how important a moment this is and what the representation on your show means?
We definitely didn't take that lightly. Like we didn't take that responsibility lightly at all. Like we really wanted to honor these characters. And like you say, yeah, like it is difficult times. And it was really, I'm really proud that we're part of a show that has such a positive message and hopefully can offer like people like some hope and stuff, you know?
I feel like right now, especially we need as much support like as possible. Like there's so much going on in the world, and it's just like so frustrating. It's so frustrating because it literally has nothing to do with anybody else, but they're making decisions for people, and that's messed up.
Because there's like so much progress, but then there's so much like backwards stuff happening at the same time.
Yes, it's horrible.
I'm sure that the two of you have gotten, over the years, so much feedback from people about how much this show means. And I think especially because the fan base of your show is unique because it is so young, but they're so good at social media and they're so good at using it and they're so tech savvy. I'm sure you guys are inundated with messages about what the show means. I mean, is there anything that sort of stands out from over the years about people who've reached out for what the representation on Love, Victor has meant to them?
I think for me, like, my favorite message to get is just like this show, or like not favorite, but like you get what I'm saying, like the ones that like mean the most to me when I receive them is like the show has changed my life because it inspired me to come out, or I watched the show with my family and it changed my mom's perspective on things. And that's like my whole goal is just change people's lives. Like, and art is just like my vessel of which to do that. And that's something that like really just means so much to me, dude.
What does it mean to be a part of a show in a moment like this, where it might really mean more than ever to sort of see some queer youth representation on screen?
It means so much to me. Growing up, I feel like I did not have, like I wasn't out in high school and I didn't have these like basically like models and examples of like what life could be and options. And I feel like now through like these shows, like there's just a way that people can be like, oh, that's me. And, like, and I can see myself, and I think it's extremely validating. And I think that it can really I think it would have changed my life. And so I think it definitely is changing lives.
Something that really struck me while watching it is, things have maybe never been more precarious for queer youth at the moment. I mean, with what's happening down in Florida, what's happening with the rights for trans kids all over the place. How cognizant were you of that throughout this entire process, and how much of that sort of played into what you wanted to portray here in the third season, really giving this sort of youthful and jubilant representation of young queer kids?
I think that's a great question. And it also speaks to like how quickly things change. There was a question when we started telling this series, like, is this an important story anymore in the year 2020? Is coming out a big deal? Aren't gay kids just accepted for who they are? And, we met with teenagers and talked to them about it, and they had varying experiences. For some of them, it was a huge deal at their high schools. And for others of them, it wasn't so much, or at least not so much, in certain pockets of Los Angeles. I think, now as we're experiencing this sort of resurgence of these draconian laws that are really terrible for LGBT youth, especially for trans youth, but this Don't Say Gay bill in Florida particularly, which is, repugnant and egregious. I think it speaks to the fact that, there are still people who would like to litigate queer people out of existence and just not have them be able to talk about who they are. And it's ridiculous. And the show takes on for us a special meaning insofar as that it's important just to tell the story, just to be seen, just to be out there on screens.
For you guys, I was really struck by how the show kind of leaned into happy endings in a way that I think was really beautiful, because we don't always get that, especially in these queer stories. You know, sometimes it's so much about turmoil and angst and all of this, and to see it all kind of come together and gel at the end. Was that always the plan for things to work out the way that it did? And I guess I'm speaking specifically maybe about Benji and Victor. Was that the plan from day one for the two of them to reconcile and end up together at the end?
Yeah, it was. I mean, their love story feels to us very baked into the DNA of the show. And I think, to your question, it was always our intention that this be a big, beautiful, joyful love story with a happy ending, because I don't think that there are enough of those for queer people. And we wanted this to be different. We wanted to show to our queer people watching that is what your lives can look like, that you can have a big, beautiful, joyful love story that exists out there for you. That is what you deserve. So I think it was really very much from the beginning in our minds where this show was going to end up.